Bolt your windows. Lock your doors. Check your closets. Look under your bed. And then prepare yourself. For it's another episode of Dark Night of the Podcast. Whoa!
And I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Now, Roger, I think there are two types of gay horror fans, film fans out there that are going to make a connection when they hear that. The first branch is going to think of the right before the iconic "No wire hangers" in Mommy Dearest. Remember?
Yes.
Christina and Christopher and Joan are reciting "To All a Good Night," and then it cuts right into the horrific wire hanger scene. The other branch of gay fans, the horror fans, are going to latch onto the film we are covering this evening, the classic,
using it loosely,
slasher. Yeah. Well, it actually has become it has become quite a holiday staple. I mean, you look at holiday Christmas lists, and this is always on it. Because let's be honest, it is one of the very first films to use the killer Santa trope. It predated Silent Night, Deadly Night by about 4 years. So what we are discussing, if you haven't figured it out, ladies and gentlemen, is the 1980 holiday slasher flick, To All a Good Night, directed by the one and only David Hess, who horror fans will know as Krug from Wes Craven's classic Last House on the Left. This was his venture into film directing, and it is quite an odd little bundle of holiday joy, Roger. Had you seen this before?
I had not seen this movie before, and I went in with very little sleuthing on my part. I kind of just sat down and fucking watched it. And I realized a few things. I realized, it has a rather mixed bag of responses from fans. And I can completely see why, to be honest. I get the love, I get the hate. But I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed this film for what it was. When I say loosely a classic, I think more in the sense of, it's surprising that when you think of holiday horror, there are a lot of titles that outshine this one. And for this one being the first to take on the killer Santa trope, you think it would, by default, get more recognition beyond queer fans, just within the genre in general. But it really has kind of slipped under the radar. However, I also realized that there are a few specific moments that are from this film that I have seen in compilations and kind of classic countdowns, and I never tied these moments to this movie until watching it, which made for a really fun experience viewing it for the first time, and I found it to be quite an enjoyable watch, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, it has a lot of charm. It has a lot of heart to it, I think. I mean, it's certainly not a big budget production. I mean, this had to have been made on a very minuscule budget, even for 1980. It's not chock full of well-known actors or actresses. I think that part of the reason why it might not be as prevalent in terms of when people talk about holiday horror classics is, like the Silent Night, Deadly Nights, that one benefited from having all that controversy. That was a film that made it into, theaters, mainstream theaters across the country. I don't think this one did. I think this one played at a few select theaters, but it kind of just came and went. Silent Night, Deadly Night made a big uproar. When it came out, all the controversy, the parents picketing it. Of course, you have a classic like Black Christmas, which is a classic because it is very, very widely considered not just one of the greatest holiday themed horror films of all time, but one of the greatest horror films of all time that has influenced the genre tremendously. If you look at all the slasher flicks that came after Black Christmas, you can see its stamp all over them. So this one, just a kind of a little independent film that, it looked like it wasn't glossy. It wasn't loud. It kind of came and went, and it sort of gained its following much, much later after its release.
Yeah. A few things going off what you just said. One thing that, it's kind of comparing apples to oranges between this and a Black Christmas, because at the end of the day, Black Christmas is an intelligent film. It's an emotionally intelligent film. It deals with a lot of things. The characters are coping through certain things that, slasher element aside, still makes for a really great character study. The whole abortion aspect, and Olivia Hussey's character, what she's kind of just experiencing as everything else is kind of going on around her. It is a very human story. This is not necessarily what I would call an intellectual film. This movie really, it's filled with a lot of strange decisions and twists that really don't make sense. If you're going to sit down and dissect this movie, it is not intelligent or really doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's mere popcorn cinema, and for that alone I can appreciate it. The one thing I will say, though, in watching this film compared to other titles we mentioned, and I hate to say this, but the fact of the matter is it's difficult to really feel like this is a seasonal offering when it is completely void of all things winter and snow. And that's the one thing that I think maybe is the nail in the coffin for this film. And even if you look at the promo art, they try to make it look as wintry as possible. But when you watch this movie, I don't care if the killer is dressed as Santa. You could have thrown any costume on him. This movie doesn't feel like a Christmas-based film. It just feels like another slasher that happens to have a few holiday elements sprinkled throughout it.
Absolutely. I would totally agree with that. The Christmas atmosphere is one of my biggest complaints with this film when we get into it, is it's just lacking the atmosphere. And I don't really necessarily, it sort of has to do with the fact that, it's not a snowy location. I can forgive that because the film is set in California. Of course it's not going to look wintry, but they could have at least made the decision to deck out the exterior of the house, the property, and the interior a little bit more to make it a lot more festive. I don't want to toot my own horn here, but Mrs. Claus, my Christmas themed film, that actually I will talk about the connections because this film heavily inspired Mrs. Claus. There's a couple of key scenes in this film that are very much replicated played homage to in Mrs. Claus. But, Mrs. Claus, my film was filmed in June in Houston, Texas in 100-degree heat. But we did everything we could to make it look like Christmas. It was my goal as, when we shot that film to have something Christmas in every shot. Whether it was Christmas lights, a Christmas tree, a Christmas decoration, the characters wearing a Christmas sweater. We had a snow machine that we used for the opening scene to give some snow. So we really tried to amp up the Christmas atmosphere. And I really think that we succeeded, because a lot of times when you read reviews, even negative reviews of the film, they do mention that it does actually get the Christmas atmosphere right. So I did it cheap. We filmed Mrs. Claus for, I don't want to say the budget, but it was definitely way less than this film. And we still made it look like Christmas. So you're right there. You're right.
Yeah. And if beyond even the setting and the environment and the weather, the climate aside, when you even look deeper into it, into the story and the cause of what transpires and everything, it's not even like this is rooted in something holiday inspired, or the season, the holiday has no influence on anything. I think they were just like, why don't we make a slasher and set it during Christmas? And that's honestly all it is. Other than that, everything else that goes on is not dependent on the holiday. It has no real influence on the material, and I do feel that kind of takes away from, if you're sitting down wanting a festive holiday slasher full of Christmas influences and nods towards the season, you're not going to get it here. All you're going to get is a few occasional Christmas lights, cheap Santa costume, and that's about it.
Yeah. And, this was just definitely a cash in on the holiday horror that had started to become prevalent around this time. Halloween, Friday the 13th, My Bloody Valentine, which I know was right around the same time. So they were just trying to cash in on the holiday horror theme. Bless their hearts. I mean, I do love a lot of stuff about the film. I do wish it was just drenched in more Christmas atmosphere. But before we get into the film, we do want to shout out our Patreon. We do have, we did have a new patron, Brian Reed. I think we shouted him out last week, but we're giving you another shout out, Brian. Thank you. We have some great stuff, so check it out. We've posted some sample clips of our full length Patreon episodes on our main feed. So if you want to check them out, they're up for you to listen to. If it sounds like something that intrigues you, go to patreon.com/Dark Night of the Podcast, and you can get access to all of our bonus material. And we are keeping it Christmas or at least holiday themed with our choices for December too. So lots of holiday goodness coming from Dark Night of the Podcast this month.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, 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 ho.
Our stockings are full.
Ooh. What else is full, Roger?
They're going to have to join Patreon to find out.
Yeah, right? But you ready? You ready to get into this?
Oh, my God. I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, so.
Take it away, Troy.
Well, the film begins with a text on screen that tells us that we are at Calvin's finishing school for girls 2 Christmases ago. Very ominous setting. I do love the look of this house or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I love the look of it. It's very ominous. It's huge. It looks really cool. They aced the location at least. But right away it cuts to some like funky, like disco type music that is just jarring.
The score in this film sounds like they like sat a child down at a Fisher-Price keyboard and just had him like pound at it. Like the score is like, I mean, no offense, but like we've heard a lot of real good scores from this era as of late, and this one does not stand out to me as one of the strongest. I'm just going to put it out there, but it's fine. It is what it is.
Well, and then another thing, if they wanted to take advantage of the Christmas theme of the film, the score could have sounded somewhat Christmassy. Again, something we did with Mrs. Claus. We have the whole score of Mrs. Claus is kind of this fucked up version of Jingle Bells. See, guys, I'm trying to get you to go watch Mrs. Claus. Come on, it's Christmas.
And Mother Krampus too.
And Mother
well.
Krampus too. You're right.
But yeah, no, honestly, that there is not a single inkling of anything that sounds like remotely like a sleigh bell,
no,
or any kind of jingling anything. It's all like weird techno-y disc or like kind of like early like synth. Like, kind of sounds like an MIDI file. It doesn't sound very effective. It actually, I think, in a lot of moments takes away from what could be some more suspenseful sequences. But whatever. You start hearing the shitty music and you get what is a very brief intro.
That's what I was going to say. This scene.
Boy, I was very disappointed with this opening.
Yes. Okay. I get it. This film is trying to set the stage for like a revenge type film. So we know the motive of the killer is going to be something. It's very much like Prom Night. The opening of Prom Night, it's almost exactly the same, except it's like 15 minutes shorter. This scene, I counted it. It's 55 seconds. And for an opening scene that is really establishing, we find out the motivation of what happens in the film, that is way too short. We don't get to know any of these characters. We don't get to know anything about them. Even the girl that, but okay, so I'm going to get into it. What happens is this girl, we don't even know who she is. Is she a sorority sister? Who is she? She's being chased around by all the other girls in this house. And they're like, some of them are one of them has the Santa mask on. One of them has like an axe. And they're chasing her around saying just like the stupidest things, like not even ominous things. Like there's that one that's saying, sorority, sorority. And they're chasing her around. They end up chasing her up to the balcony. And in the most awkward way possible, the editing in this film is really bad in parts because this scene is edited terribly. We don't even see kind of what happens. We just see all the girls come out on the balconies. Apparently one scares her, so she falls off the balcony. And there's this really obvious shot of this dummy that falls to the ground that doesn't even have the same hairstyle or anything as the girl. And then that's it. That's the opening scene. There's nothing. We don't get to know anything. Was this a sorority prank? Obviously, what was going on? We don't know.
Yeah, it's it's hard to even tell if like the girls involved are the ones that we end up following throughout the course of the film, because it's filmed with this like halo-y kind of effect, obviously to give it a flashback kind of vibe. But it just honestly makes it look like you're like looking through Vaseline. Like it doesn't help. But so you get the idea, it's a flashback. They chase her up to this balcony. She falls. And one of the worst issues, Troy, you mentioned the bad editing, and you're right. One of the worst aspects of this is she gets startled and she falls backwards over the railing. And it immediately cuts to a shot of this mannequin, again, blatantly a doll, falling stomach first, like within, like you don't see like a body rotation or anything. Like it's just a horrible edit, and so like it's already jarring to the eye because it's such a bad edit. Then you acknowledge the fact that this is a wooden mannequin with absolutely no like life or humanity to it whatsoever, just like flopping on the ground, and like it's so quick and it's so brief, and I think they just knew it was such a bad sequence that they just tried to get out of it. But my God, like if this is the note you're starting off on, ugh. I mean, luckily the film resurrects in a few areas from here, but it is a rough introduction. It's rough.
It's definitely it's definitely, I'm going to say it. It's definitely one of the worst opening sequences of an 80s horror film, slasher film, by far. Editing, score, lighting, it's terrible. And like you said, luckily it only lasts 55 seconds. It's so quick. But you're left like thinking, what the fuck? What the fuck did I just watch? However, the film does redeem itself pretty quickly for the most part. We now get a text to screen that says it's 2 years later.
Yeah. You see a shit ton of really fucking fancy cars pulling out of this lot. Obviously, a bunch of these girls are getting picked up by their parents and going home for holiday vacation. And I gotta say, I think a majority of the budget for this film went just to procuring these very elaborate vehicles. I mean, they are all just fancy classic cars, and you don't see a lot of budget spent elsewhere in this movie, let me tell you. But these cars are very nice, and it's quite for such a brief opening, you get quite a long introduction to all these girls as they're basically, you're finding out which characters are staying behind for the holiday break.
Yeah, and there's just like random scenes, like there's that dickhead dad that's like yelling at his wife and daughter to hurry up and get their asses in their car, and then there's like who we find out to be Nancy. She's giving her, did they bring her cat to visit her or what? She's given her mom back her cat, saying, take care of it, please. I'm like, was the cat with you, or did their parents like drive up to bring you the cat? And then why aren't you going home with them? Because she's one of the ones that stays for Christmas. Her parents literally, they're there, but they leave her there. Because in the next scene, she's like, well, we'll get there. In the next scene, she's like, you know what I want to do for Christmas? I wish I was going home. Your parents were just there. Why didn't they take your ass home? Probably because you're a whiny fucking brat the whole movie.
She's a whiny brat, but let's take a minute to talk about Nancy. Because it takes a moment before you realize that Nancy is kind of the focal character of the cast. I didn't expect this at first, but she kind of stands up. I don't want to say she rises up because she doesn't do a lot of shit, but she ends up becoming the final girl, you know? And I gotta say, she's annoying as all hell, but I think she's also just a peach. She's so sweet, and she's so delightful and virginal. I didn't expect to like her. I know I shouldn't, but I got a warm spot in my heart for Nancy. And you know what? She strikes me as the kind of child who's had the upbringing that her parents would bring a cat to visit before Christmas break, because I bet her parents dote over her. I don't know why they're not bringing her home, but it is what it is. But yeah, you get an introduction to kind of all of these girls, and what a cast. What a cast, because there's a wide array of girls here, varying degrees of talents, I would say, but none of them forgettable.
No, the cast in this is quite interesting, especially the females. I feel like the males, sort of disposable, except maybe two of them. But the girls are pretty, I would say a lot of them are really charming. you get to like them, especially upon repeated viewings. Like I find myself liking certain characters more each time I watch the film. Because after this whole elaborate scene of all the parents taking their kids home, the ones that are going home, and then there's like somebody on the speaker over the loudspeaker saying random things like, "If you left your underwear hanging out back, please go get it." And Miss Jensen says dinner's going to be a half hour late for those staying. It's just all this random stuff. But then the very next scene, we cut to the girls that have decided to stay are sitting in the living room. And we have, let me think if I have their names. We have Nancy, of course, played by Jennifer Runyon, who went on to somewhat, fame with Charles in Charge. We have Trish, right, who is the British babe.
Let's raise a glass to Trish for a moment, because, God, if anyone steals the show in this movie, it's fucking Trish.
It's Trish. We have Melody. We have Sam. And we have Leah. And they are quite the mix. They're sitting around, and this is when Nancy's like, "Oh, I wish I was going home for Christmas." And one of Melody's like, "Oh, you would." And she's like, I would rather be anywhere than home. And I'd rather be in a cave. And right away, Trish is upstairs, and she leans over the banister wearing this very revealing blouse with her titty almost hanging over the banister. And her English accent, I can't do an English accent, but this broad is something else.
That director was like, "I need you to lean over the banister more." And she's like, "You want me to lean over the banister more?" And he's like, "More." And her sandbag breast just fully flopping over the edge of it. Who actually leans on a banister like that? They were directing her, "We need to see your tits more." She's like, you want more of my tits? And she's like, "All right. How's this?" And this girl's knockers are fucking wild. They're flipping and flopping all over the place, and she's fully aware of it. But yeah, I mean, this gal has some jugs on her. I'm shocked we don't see him come out to play.
We don't almost, but we don't see her. But she is very the sexualized one.
Listen, we have seen some whores.
Well, this will.
I mean, we've seen some ladies with very high turned up libidos over the course of this podcast. I would say that Trish takes the cake when it comes to the sluttiest girl out of all the films we've seen thus far, because this girl would fuck anything, any lot. There's one point where they're talking about the house mother. You get introduced to the house mother, and they're talking about her going to bed, and she's like, "Oh, I wonder what she dreams about at night." And it's this elderly woman, are you nibbling on your finger because of this old dame? Trish, set some fucking boundaries. My God. I don't know. This girl is sexed up, and she's trying to fuck everybody over the course of the whole movie, which, good for her.
But, well, she doesn't get to, but let's say the other girls are whores too. They're swapping guys left and right. They're fucking everything under the sun. I'm like, good God. It's whoever wrote this, obviously it's a guy, because you see who it is. His name is very clearly listed as a screamer. He's has no clue how sorority girls really are. And this is his fantasy of how sorority girls are, or how, college age girls are, that they'll just sleep with anybody and it's all interchangeable. Because they're fucking everything. They're fucking the cops. They're fucking the gardener. They're fucking everything they can get their hands on. All of them, except Nancy.
There are so many moments of this movie, Troy, I've got to say, that do feel like a porn parody of a slasher. Mm-hmm. There are several moments that feel I'm like, God, am I actually just watching a early 80s, one of those cheap porn movies that somehow made it to cinemas? Because it really feels, the storyline and how things develop are very unrealistic. Yeah, they're fucking cops. They're sleeping with each other's boyfriends, and then they're just switching without question. Nobody's offended. Everyone's okay with it. That's not how things work in reality. But yeah, you can tell whoever wrote this was sitting there with a cigar in his mouth, that's hot. Sandbag breasts over banisters. Yeah.
So then we get, as the girls are sitting around, Miss Jensen, she's not the house mother. Is she? She's the cook, but she's acting as the house mother for the weekend. The house mother's out of town, we learn. But this Mrs. Jensen is kind of your quintessential, introduced as your quintessential nice goody two shoe Mrs. Garrett type character who loves all of the girls, cooks for them, makes them their favorite meals. She comes in, she's like, dinner's ready. It's stew and cherry pie for dessert. Just the way she says it, it's like, oh, cringe.
Yeah, and she's given me, I'll say this, well-acted performance, giving me young Dee Wallace vibes.
I see that.
I don't know if you see it, but I definitely got some Dee Wallace vibes. They keep talking about this cherry pie like they're gonna fuck it. I mean, this cherry pie comes up a few times.
Did you notice when they pass it around? It's basically looks like a store-bought cherry pie. It's one of those cheap pie like aluminum pie tins. And like,
it's also like
you didn't cook.
It's like an individual size one. So they're all cutting like slivers of it. Oh, trust me, I noticed. I was like, I would eat that entire pie for one sitting. But yeah, it's a big to do, this pie and this beef stew. They're all about it, and there's nothing else. Like, it's beef stew and pie. There's no vegetable, there's no side, but it's a big to do. Then meanwhile, it cuts to a moment here in the midst. There's a lot of dialogue in this movie that is disposable. I'm just gonna say it right now. Like, people are talking about things that I don't care about left and right. But as this is happening, there is a cut to what appears to be like a coffee table with a book with a notepad on it, and a framed picture of the girl that fell off the banister earlier on. And it's and like it's basically like, if you didn't put together in the first 45 seconds of this film, this is a tale of vengeance. And in order to ensure that you're completely aware of that fact, the director is going to force imagery down your throat over the progression of the film, so that you know that there is like vengeance afoot. And that really kicks off here with this moment, of this all too subtle moment of some mysterious figure looking at this picture of the girl that fell over the banister, and it then proceeds to just flash to images, like, in case you forgot because you saw her too briefly, this is the girl that fell over the banister. She is prominent in the story. And then there's like a notebook which has something written on it. I'm assuming it's
was that the names of the girls? I could not tell.
I'm thinking it's the names of the girls that were involved, but you don't get like a close up or anything. So like the figure just like mysteriously slashes a red X over it, like, fuck them. And that's all you get. But like, you can't see what they're slashing out, so I'm just left to assume it's the names of the girls. But like, it really is like a heavy handed, like, in case you weren't aware, someone's out for vengeance.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just a weird, awkward scene that we really didn't need. I mean, you find that out in the reveal. Like, you don't need to... I mean, obviously, it's going to be a tale of revenge. When you start your film with a girl falling off a banister at the same balcony, at the same house that all these people are now getting killed at, we can probably put two and two together. But back at dinner, we find out that Leia has come up with a plan that she has her boyfriend coming to visit and stay the weekend with them because she knows that Miss Calvin's going to be out of town. And her plan is to like get Miss Jensen to put some like drugs in her milk so that she sleeps for the whole night so that these boys can come in and spend the weekend with them. And they're like flying in. It's real awkward. Like, this is another thing that doesn't make sense. Does this sorority house have just like a plane landing strip that planes can land on? Because that's what happens.
Well, there's one point where, like, they're like, thank God for that landing strip that got put in. And then Trish goes, thank God for airplanes. like, it's very confusing. But yes, like, apparently it's TJ, I think is his name. TJ, I guess, his father has, like, a private plane. And so they get the pilot that operates this plane to fly them in for the night, to, you know, get into mischief and debauchery and what have you. It seems as though this landing strip is very close to this school, and aside from that, that's all we really get from it. It is confusing.
Apparently nobody else uses this landing strip. It's just reserved for a girls' finishing school. And how far away do these guys live that they have to fucking fly a plane?
You know what I will say? There is the one thing that I heard over the course of the film that I was like, okay, maybe this is kind of explaining things a bit, is a character later on says, he's like, this is a very prestigious school, and all of the students that attend this school, their parents are prominent political figures. So I'm really thinking that this has to be like a pretty like ho 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 kind of school. Not saying it's, I would think it makes sense for it to have its own fucking landing strip, but like I'm assuming maybe it's at least in an area that would have a landing strip. Whatever. It's a whole lot of nonsense. Like, this movie does not make a lot of sense. Let's be fucking real. But yeah, there's an airplane. Boys are in the airplane and they're coming to bang these women.
Yes, but before that, after we hear this plan, there is apparently another girl who's upstairs sick named Cynthia. Because Miss Jensen's like, why don't you call Cynthia down for dinner? And they're like, oh no, she went up to her room. She's not feeling well. She said she's not hungry. So then it cuts to a guy. Where the fuck did this guy? He didn't have to fly in. This guy that's outside Cynthia's window, he got there just fine without a plane. He's out there, Cynthia, throwing rocks at her window. And she goes to the window and sees him. And she's like, I'll be down in a bit. Not before she like totally just takes all of her fucking clothes off and standing in front of the window, butt ass naked.
She's illuminated, just bathed in blue moonlight, stripping down, breast to the sky, and this guy could be like no less interested. He's like down there, he's like, hurry the fuck up. He's like smoking a cigarette. She's trying like presenting herself to him, and he's like over it. He's pissed off, and he like gets into like a Captain Morgan pose on a log, like smoking a cigarette, bitching at her because she's taking too long and she's trying to seduce him. And as he's puffing away, he doesn't notice the mysterious figure that comes up behind him and like tackles him to the ground. And you'd think this was going to be like a kill sequence, but it's not. It just like he gets like wrestled to the ground and it cuts away. And so then you think like, oh, cool, okay, well, it's like a cutaway kill. At least we'll see like the body or like the aftermath at some point. But you never fucking do. This could have all happened so easily without even introducing this character. He's in it for like 10 seconds. He doesn't have a kill. He just gets tackled. And then you never see what the fuck happens to him. It's such a fucking wasted moment.
He doesn't even fight back. Like the killer just like pushes him down. He's like just laying there like, oh, no.
Troy, nobody in this movie fights back. Like, if there's one issue I have with this film, it's about half of the kills. Literally, people just, like, walk into knives. Or just lay there as the killer, like, tackles them and, like, beats them. People, like, just, like, lay their arms to the ground and let the killer, you know, beat things over their heads. They don't do anything to defend themselves. So, yeah, this is a very lame cast when it comes to, like, them actually, like, defending themselves.
Well, because you're right, because Cynthia finally goes downstairs and she walks outside and is immediately just like stabbed in the chest. Like immediately. Like the killer just walks up and plunges it and she's like, and you can tell like the cries were like dubbed in. Like this film has a lot of really bad dubbing. We didn't mention that.
Oh my God. Some of the worst. She's got like a smile on her face. She's like marching down to see her boyfriend. And like, I mean, maybe she was coming up on a bend or a corner where somebody was jumping out and taking her by surprise. But it sure doesn't look that way because it's just one shot. And she like literally just like walks towards the camera and suddenly she just gets stabbed in the chest by somebody who I'm assuming she would have had to have seen standing in front of her because they're in the middle of like an open plaza.
Yeah, especially wearing a Santa Claus costume.
Well, are they even in a Santa Claus costume yet?
Well, I'm assuming. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, because we see a bunch of characters coming up soon that are all wearing Santa Claus costumes, and I thought maybe that's how this killer procured that costume. But again, very vague. This storyline is not tightly wound. So yeah, this girl just walks into a knife, dies with the gasps of another woman, and we're moving on. Like, that's all. This situation's never addressed again. They never ask about Cynthia again. Like, people don't seem to care.
They don't care when anybody disappears. Like,
no.
These characters have no concern when like half of them are missing. They don't. We'll get there. Trust me. We're gonna get there. I have a lot to say. Okay, so it cuts back to dinner. Nancy thinks she saw something outside. I don't know how. You're in a fucking dining room. There's like no windows that we saw. And she's like, I saw something outside. And the other ones are just like making fun of her. And they're like, oh, you eat too much sugar, Nancy. Of course she's moping. I mean, I like Nancy. I like the actress. My problem with Nancy in this film is they make her too childish. Like, does that make sense? Like, way, like, too child, like, they go to the extreme to make her, like, innocent to a point where, like, when the other girls are drinking alcohol and getting beer, she wants to have milk. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, they really wanted to like push like the virginal aspect of this character to an extreme, and I think it's like to make her endearing, but sometimes it just makes her unrelatable or kind of annoying. I don't know, but she's very well intentioned, and compared to these other whores, she's kind and seems to be a good human. So like, I mean, she's got that in her favor. There is a point later in the film where she teams up with another very virginal, well, not virginal because they have sex in the film, but very pure of heart individual. And I feel like almost like I'm watching like Escape to Witch Mountain or something, because they're like sneaking through the house together, pigtailed, and it just feels very like out of place because the rest of these characters are so fucking promiscuous. But like, yeah, no, I like Nan. I like Nancy. I think she's very sweet. I just think she's extremely awkward and does not. What is she doing colluding with these strumpets? Because they are leading her down a path of destruction.
Yeah, she's stuck with them. Leah wants to go upstairs to get a tissue, and of course the Trish is like, bring me some perfume, the Chanel, please. So Trish goes upstairs, and Leah goes upstairs. Leah's fucking annoying. This is the most annoying character I've ever seen in a fucking movie. She is singing all the time. She is a bitch. Like, they try to paint her to be the sexy one, and she looks like 48 compared to the other ones who actually look like they could be playboy centerfolds, and this haggard-looking thing running around that's supposed to be the sexiest one of the bunch. But she goes upstairs, she gets her tissue, she gets her perfume, and as she's leaving, guess who we get introduced to? Crazy Ralph. Ralph, even. It's Crazy Ralph.
Literally. I mean, he's
Crazy
doing double
Ralph.
duty in movies here, apparently. Though he's gotten a really interesting bleach job for this film. Because the name choice, unexpected and surprising, that they would just have another Crazy Ralph, but here we are. I've got to say that I do have to acknowledge Leah. To me, she looks like if Malachi from Children of the Corn went through a transition. Because like she has a very specific look. Not what I would consider to be an attractive woman, but she's just got really strange features. But I'm not trying to slam on this gal. I don't think she's a bad actress. I just think her character is quite obnoxious.
Her performance, she's probably one of the best actresses of the bunch. It's just her character is really annoying. And I don't buy that, she's the one that is like she's painted in this film to be like the leader of the sorority, like the hot one that everyone wants to be, and she's in charge. But I'm like, oh my God, all the other girls are like 20 times hotter than you. Like, and she's the one that sleeps with half the guys that show up.
I mean, this woman is getting dicked down like she's in a Brazzers film.
I can't even get as much dick as this broad is.
Oh, I don't believe that, Troy. Do you see the comments you get on the Dark Night of the Podcast thread?
It's about it's about my voice, though. It ain't about my look.
Oh, well, it's like a very Phantom of the Opera thing. People are so drawn in by your sexy voice.
Weird Ralph comes in a room to check on the plant. He's come to check on the plant. She's like, "You're weird. Leave me alone." She's such a bitch.
She is, and her bedroom is like it is the bedroom of like a gay power bottom. Like it is brimming with plant life. It is like it's like a rainforest. It's filled with plants, and even the decor. I'm like, I know a lot of bottoms who this is what their lives are like with their green thumbs. So she's ahead of her time when it comes to that shit.
Oh, but can we talk? I want to get here. It's the next morning, and the sorority has a very lively visitor in Miss Tina. This reminded me of you, Roger, in like 5 years. Bitching, moaning about how your back hurts, you're gonna die, you're having surgery. This woman is a nonstop. Oh my God, I need a whole movie with this character, Miss Rantoni.
Troy, I think we can all agree that the star of this film is one Tina Ranzoni, and she's. she comes in and she starts chewing on table scraps, talking about her impending bypass, insulting the rich pompous bitches while they're in the room.
She doesn't hold back.
I mean, she don't give a fuck.
Calling them.
She doesn't hold back.
She's calling them whores. She's calling them bitches.
And let me tell you, one of the greatest mistakes of this film is that it introduces an intriguing character such as Tina Ranzoni, and you never get another scene with her again. How fucking dare they? This dame, like, she should be going down in the annals of, like, cult movie history, a la, like, oh, God, I don't know. Like, she's like an Aunt Martha from
Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp. Only, like, if only she would have gotten, like, a real proper... I don't know, kill her. Like, just kill her. Like, this woman, you're going to introduce this broad to this movie and you're not going to axe her off or something. Like, she has so much potential to be, like, such a memorable moment. She also gives me vibes of, like, Black Christmas, of the house mother from Black Christmas, who had, like, all the witty one-liners. There was so much potential with this character. I was so mad that I never saw her again.
She brings cannoli even.
Oh my God, I fucking love cannoli.
And then as she's leaving, do you notice as she's getting ready to leave, she's going through the counters and like putting stuff in her purse.
Oh, like
finding like spice bottle. I love this.
She's checking the stew.
I love this broad. How come? Oh, she needed her own movie. She needed. Yeah, I was so upset when she. Yeah, and Leah comes in the kitchen, and Leah's obviously is not a big fan of Miss Ranzoni because she's like mispronounces her name every time she says it, and that's when Tina is like, I don't know why you work with these rich pompous whores. Right when Leah's in the room, I'm like, you go, you don't hold back. She doesn't care because she thinks she's going to be dead in a week from her bypass surgery. What does she have to lose?
Oh yeah, she's so morbid. I love her. I know a lot of Italians. They operate like Ranzoni does. Just like, life's about to end, you might as well live it while you can. One thing she says that's very interesting is she makes this very specific comment to Ruth, where she says, if something goes wrong, you think they're going to tell the house mother regarding, the girls and how basically they can't be trusted. And that very specific line is one of the few things we get that alludes to what happened earlier in the film. Obviously, that something happened and they didn't tell the house mother.
Yes.
Because one thing that I think is a huge issue with this movie, a massive error, and really impacts the gelling of the, the story and how things fall into place and how things connect and the through story that carries it. The girls never once discuss the incident amongst themselves. It's never brought up. It's never talked about. It's never alluded to. They never say that they did anything wrong or that they have a secret or that, it's never implied. And I think this is a grave error with with this writing, because this movie is so bloated with excess characters and weird little plot devices and side stories, but they never choose to delve into the one thing that triggers the whole story to begin with, which is this death. You know that someone's out for vengeance, but the people involved, there's no remorse, there's no discussion. You can't even really tell if it's the girls that were involved in the beginning because it's such a brief sequence, you can barely see them. They really, really made a misstep with not having this be something that's brought up a little bit more amongst the lead cast. So you know who's involved.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, because when I did try to watch the opening scene a couple times to see if I could recognize any of the girls as any of the main characters, and the only one that I really think was there blatantly that you can see is the character of Melody. But again, they never talk about it. It's never brought up. It would have been interesting if they would have at least acknowledged that a girl died just 2 years ago at this house. It's not brought up. It's not like even, it could have been even like something that was even sort of like an urban legend now. Oh, one of the sorority girls fell off the balcony and died. But it's not, these girls act like they don't even know it happened. It would have just added that extra layer if the girls were aware that this had happened, and maybe perhaps what's going on has to do with that. Very much like it could have been like a sorority row type of thing, but it's not at all. And even like the ending, like makes no sense because the killer's trying to kill somebody that blatantly wasn't even involved. And the killer kills a whole bunch of people that weren't involved.
Yeah, we often talk, Troy, about like a good horror film really knows how to like raise the stakes. Knows how to take the plot and elevate or enhance certain moments to just kind of amplify the experience or hit it home, make it easier for the audience to understand why things are the way they are and why certain people are being killed. Raise the stakes, make it easier for us as viewers to understand why this is an intense moment or people are in danger. This movie does the opposite. It lowers the stakes, in my opinion. It takes a scenario where, like, there's so much room to explore what happened, and they just don't take advantage of it at all. They just, like, kind of let this opening sequence and what happened become something by the wayside. You see a few little hints of it over the course of the movie, like, discreetly sprinkled, but other than that, it's just, like, it's not even really brought up till the end.
No, so after Tina Ransoni leaves, Leah tells Nancy that she's the one that has to give Miss Jensen her milk because Miss Jensen would never suspect Nancy of doing anything like that. So Nancy gives in, goes up, gives Miss Jensen the milk, and then the girls go out to the plane. We get a shot of the plane landing in this landing strip that apparently that this school has, and they're all running through the woods. The lighting here is all over the place. So one shot it's light is noon out, the next shot it's pitch black.
Yeah there is no consistent time of day or over the course of the whole film. Like at one moment it's like you're looking out the windows, it's dark night, then all of a sudden it's dusk, then all of a sudden the sky is glowing, like there's a soft light to it. Very inconsistent. Troy, I want to backstep real quick to this one specific moment because it is something that I caught that I thought was pretty actually well played, and the last time we really get something that kind of connects the tissue with what happened earlier in the film. When she hands the milk off to Ruth, there is a very obvious moment that if you look above the house mother as she's working over her sewing machine, right above her sewing machine, the portrait of the girl who died earlier in the film is prominently displayed above her. It's very prominent. Definitely foreshadowing.
Yes. And it's if you're not paying attention, if you're just paying attention to the dialogue between the two of them, you're not going to see it. I did not see it the first several times I watched this film. And then I caught it because your focal point is not there. Your focal point is on Nancy in the doorway handing the milk to Miss Jensen. But it is there. You're right. So right away, if you're paying attention, you're probably going to figure out pretty quickly who the killer is. But they do throw a twist in. It's not as obvious as you think.
They've also done a good job up to this point of throwing in a few additional potential red herrings.
Well, I was just going to say, one of them is very blatantly Ralph.
Yeah.
Because as the girls are running through the woods to go out this plane, Nancy gets separated from them, and she's out in the middle of the woods. And who does she run into? Ralph. He's just out in the woods by himself, and he's there to give her a flashlight. He's like, here, it's dark out here. Even though it's broad daylight, here, you need this flashlight. He gives her the flashlight. So obviously they're trying to set this Ralph character up as being a red herring, obviously. I think they were even trying to set Tina Ransoni up as being a red herring. When her comment about death, when she's like, oh, we all have to die sometime, real ominously. So they are trying to throw in some red herrings, but if you're paying attention, it becomes pretty obvious, I think.
Imagine if that would have been the finale, though. Oh my God, the monologue.
That old Italian woman with an axe, give me that. I live for that.
She's eating a cannoli as she's delivering her final pieces of dialogue. Ralph also has a strange kind of infatuation with the character of Nancy that it kind of makes sense because Ralph has like a weirdly religious edge to him. He speaks a lot of religious gibberish, Christian gibberish. It's always directed towards Nancy. And I think it's because Nancy is very pure of heart, and he acknowledges that, and so he gravitates towards her. But because of the way it's written, you can't tell if it's well-intended or if it's actually something a little bit darker and more of like a weird, like a twisted fascination. I think they do play that angle pretty well of giving a motivation for him to be a red herring. He definitely seems to have a strange attraction to Nancy.
And you never find out, though. You never find out. He's not given any sort of. It's not expanded upon, because we'll get there. So the guys finally arrive. The girls get to the plane. So all the various guys get off the plane. They're wearing, a couple of them are wearing Santa Claus outfits. You get TJ, you get Alex, Tom, and then another one. I don't know what his name is, but it's a pretty handsome group of guys for 1980. I mean, hey. But then, and the pilot, for some reason, TJ, who is like the leader of this group of guys, he like makes the pilot stay behind. Like even the girls are like, "Oh, we have room for him." He's like, "No, he's not coming. He can sleep in the plane." And it's never, that's something that's never expanded on, is why he hates this pilot so much. There's no story. There's just like, oh, he makes the pilot. And the pilot is actually played by a very prominent 70s porn star, Harry Reams.
Oh.
Yeah, who was in Deep Throat, The Devil and Miss Jones, all those classic porn films he was in. So, good old friends with David Hess, the director.
Well, lucky us, getting treated to that man meat. If only he dropped trout, we'd be that much more lucky. The dubbing by the plane is awful. I just have to say it.
Yes.
And that poor pilot, like, let us be clear. He remains at that plane for, I'm assuming, roughly at least 24 hours, if not 48 hours. He is forgotten for a period of time that I find unacceptable. This man, like, where is he going to go? Is he just going to just live in this plane? I mean, it's not a very big plane. They find him at one point. He's sleeping underneath it. Like, I mean, this poor man.
Yeah. So then it cuts to all of them back in the house, and one of the guys is playing his guitar and singing a song. You get a shot of,
which he has no business doing.
It's something about Drifter. I don't remember, but yeah, he's like stroking his guitar. You get a shot of Santa in the workshop sharpening a blade, very reminiscent of the shot in Curtains last week of the killer sharpening the sickle in the basement as the group's upstairs having dinner. Now we get Santa doing it. You're right. The dialogue on this film drags at some point. The group's sitting around talking about shit that I don't care about. This Alex character, this nerdy Alex character, who actually for me becomes progressively sexier and sexier as the film comes on. Like when I first saw him, I'm like, oh, but then as the film goes on, I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, Melody starts throwing herself at him, just throwing herself. And like, I'm sorry, this guy has no business having such hot girls, like, hanging all over him, because he's such a nerd. He's so awkward, but he's got to have big dick energy like crazy, because like this girl is just trying to jump on it, and then pretty soon he's trying to fuck everybody, and like this guy's got to be like fucking hung to his kneecap.
Yeah, what's funny is he is like this virginal, like nerdy character throughout the whole film, and then like the second he has sex, he's the stud all of a sudden. It wants to sleep with all the girls. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, he secures like this weird like confidence. It's very strange how that comes about. His character is very inconsistent. I don't dislike the character, I'll say that, but he's just very inconsistent.
So we get Trish finally going to get beers from the kitchen with her English accent. She goes in the kitchen to get the beers, opens the refrigerator. We see a hand come in and shut the kitchen light off, and basically Santa comes into the kitchen and she thinks it's Tom.
Tom, would you stop messing around and seduce me like a man?
Take that silly mask off. And she like turns around, she's like, take me to bed. And he immediately grabs her and slits her throat with a butcher knife.
Man, I was so pissed that Slutty Trish was like the first of the core group to go, because she was definitely the most entertaining in my opinion. But I will say that throat cut looked pretty good for the brief moment that you saw it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't see it, but for a brief second, but it does look good because he like pulls her head back a bit and you can see the big old gash like open up. It's pretty gross if you think about it.
It's like pulpy.
Yeah, I was pissed too because it's about 20 minutes into the film and like the most interesting character of the girls is killed. Yeah, I was like, I wanted more of Trish. Trish could have stuck around a lot longer.
Yeah, she deserved a sex scene at least. She's been talking about it the whole time. At least give her what she wants.
We should have seen her knockers. I mean, we saw him hanging over the railing. Why not see him?
Oh my God, you can't hold him back. She makes me think of that. Have you ever seen Superstars, of the Mary Catherine Gallagher movie starring Molly Sheen?
Oh yeah.
She's like, these are my breasts. They're so huge. You just gotta strap them back because her tits are just pouring out of this top. It's a waste. It was a waste. We should have seen them.
So Nancy goes upstairs and she runs into Ralph, and he's like, "You should be in bed." Like, his fascination with telling these like 20-some-year-old girls that they should be in bed is quite creepy. Like, why? She's not 12. Like, this is a full-grown girl, and you're like, "You should be in bed and lock your door because there's evil out here tonight." And it's just like, oh, how much more of a red herring, foreboding fucking character can we get?
Simpleton. This guy is very simple. I'm very confused. Like, I think he's supposed to be kind of slow, but they just explain it by him being religious. It's very weird.
So next, back downstairs, Trisha's taking too long, so Tom gets frustrated, and he goes to look for her. He goes into the kitchen and sees, like, it's very obvious, like, the refrigerator door is still wide open. He doesn't bother, like, it doesn't faze him. He doesn't bother closing it. He just walks right by to go look for Trish. And he goes outside, and right away, like, there could be a lot of suspense built into this film, but they rush things quite a bit. Because he goes outside and literally within 5 seconds finds her body, like, stuffed into, what is it, a barbecue?
Yeah, she's, like, tucked away in, like a small, like, cabinet area beneath a grill. And his response is very, like, understated. I mean, they don't play out the suspense aspects in this movie anywhere near as well as they could. And this moment especially, like, for being one of the early kills and following such a good throat cut, I gotta say, it really kind of deflates the balloon. Because this guy, Tom, he turns and he's instantly, like, comes face to face with the Santa Mask Killer. And you really see the Santa Killer for the first time. Not the most effective of all the Santa Killers we've seen by any means, but, you know, you get the gist of it. You know what it looks like. And they start, like, to have, like, a battle where, like, the killer swings at him and he misses, and Tom runs off, and then the killer, like, cuts him off, and they start, like, battling and struggling. And this moment, like, could have been something maybe kind of exciting or suspenseful, but because of some very, like, awkward choreography, and I'm talking awkward, and no, like, the cinematography doesn't do it any justice. It doesn't help it at all, because you could have at least cut it in a way that, like, when, you know, certain people try to, like, hit or dodge, you could have made it more creative with the cuts, but they just, like, leave the camera on the sequence, so you kind of just see Tom fall to the ground and just lay there, and he literally puts his arms to the ground and he stops fighting at a certain point, and the killer just mounts him and beats his head in with, like, a brick, and that's the death. But Tom just, like, gives up. He just stops.
Yeah, it's really awkward. And I think maybe it's because the Santa Killer hits him in the head with a rock and it stuns him. But it's so dark, the lighting is so bad that it's really hard to make that out, whether that's what happened or not. I'm going to say it is, because he literally, like you said, he falls to the ground and just lays there for like 15 seconds, as clearly we see this Santa Killer grab a big old boulder, come over him and drop it on his face, and he doesn't move once. Very awkward kill.
And that's why I say when I say that, like, the editing here, we mentioned this earlier, the cinematography and the editing does not do the sequence justice, because I have seen some fight sequences turn out looking pretty kick-ass just because of the right editing. You know when to cut it at the right point. You know when to show certain things and when not to. These guys just kind of let it linger, and you don't know what's going on because it's just kind of sloppy, and it just doesn't do the moment justice. I'm sure it could have been done a lot better.
That's a lot of the sequences in this film are sloppily edited. That's one of the things that this film really has an issue with. Whoever edited this film, you didn't do a very good job. Now we get the fact that the Santa Killer is apparently burying bodies, right? Just burying bodies throughout the whole property. So he kills these people and he buries them. This Santa is pretty damn busy. You know how long it takes to dig a hole to bury a body?
Let alone two.
We saw how long it took, and Megan, it's missing. It's like 20 minutes.
Yeah, this killer's got a lot of time on his hands, and he's sure fucking lucky that nobody's, like, wandering outside and happening to, like, catch him up to his mischief. Things happen to just play out for the killer exactly as he hopes. Because, yeah, things go to plan for him. Meanwhile, inside, nobody's concerned you're checking on anybody who's missing, by the way. Let's just make that clear. Cynthia, long forgotten, never gets brought up again. No one gives a fuck about Cynthia. She could have died from her ailments, her illness that she spoke of. No one gives a fuck. No one does the work they need to do to prevent the killer from succeeding at his task, which is killing everybody.
Melody, in the meantime, has seduced Alex and gets him to bed with her. The other couple, Sam and the guy, I don't know his name. I really don't know. John, Charles, Peter. I don't know. He's pretty hot, but I don't know his name. He's the one that was playing the guitar. I don't know. They're like flirting. He's chasing her around the pool table and like into the living room. And she's like, "Oh, you can't catch me. I'm the fastest girl in school." And so he like pretends he falls on the floor and hurts his back. And of course she goes to help him, and they make out. Upstairs, Leah is dancing and serving TJ some appetizers.
Leah's presenting a charcuterie board to like a very elongated dance number, and she's like, no, 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 no. Like, she's like going on about this way longer than she needs to. They could have cut this down about 5 minutes, this dance number. But yeah, she's got this lavish charcuterie board. And then they just start fucking making out. Everybody's getting ready to bone.
She's so annoying. I would throw her ass out if I was TJ.
She's so lanky, and she has no breasts. Not saying that little breasts, they're bug bites. You see them eventually, and I seriously thought I was looking like a 7-year-old boy's body. It was very uncomfortable. It made me feel very, very uncomfortable. I took a note. His name is Blake. That guy's name is Blake. Yeah.
Okay. Blake. Well, Blake can get it, but I didn't know his name.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They have a moment where they're chasing each other, and you get these nice kind of aerial shots from above the Christmas tree. I really like these shots. You see them a few times because you get a Christmas tree. I'll take it. In this movie, at this point, it's about all you get, but it's quite a large tree. And you get a really nice scope for just how big this house is as well. It looks very grand. So I like these shots. You get them a few times. There's also a sequence of them kind of trying to, get sexy, like making out and kissing on each other. And I found this moment unusually unsettling because the score completely drops out. There's no score. It's just the sound of them making out. And the camera's kind of doing a really slow push-in on the two of them, and it just kind of goes on for a while. And it does give the sense that there is someone else in the room without really doing anything. It was a surprisingly effective little moment. I don't know why it stuck with me. But you do then notice that Nancy is upstairs, like, looking over the railing, just watching.
Oh, she watches quite a bit in this.
Nancy is a voyeur. Nancy likes to watch people getting it on, and she kind of moves from window to window, room to room, checking it out, watching the scene.
I half expected her to break out her vibrator and just start tingling her pussy and watching all these people make out.
That girl needs it. If anyone needs it, it's fucking Nan.
But and then Leah comes out in the hallway to get more beer and bumps into Nancy and is like, "You scared the shit out of me. What are you doing? Sneaking around the hallway." Well, yeah, that's exactly what she's doing. She's watching people fuck. So she brings Nancy with her because Nancy's like, "Oh, I was just thirsty." So Leah's like, "Come down with me. You want a beer?" Nancy's like, "No, I want milk." I'm like, "Come on.
Go fucking. Go fuck yourself, Nancy.
I'm surprised it wasn't chocolate milk. But they poured in a wine glass.
Seriously.
And she's walking around the rest of the movie with milk in a wine glass while all these other broads are drinking fucking tequila and hard liquor and beer, and Nancy's walking around with their fucking milk.
Well, these broads are also getting railed by multiple men within a 24-hour period. So clearly they and Nancy are living their lives on different paths. I do want to acknowledge one specific little moment, Troy. The moment where Nan, I call my Aunt Nancy Nan, I can't help it. So where Nan and Leia bump into each other, it's in this like kind of like entranceway outside the bedroom, and there's this like really prominent stained glass door, stained glass window. And the lighting is like this really bold pinkish red lighting. And for a moment, I got a really awesome Argento vibe. It's brief, but there's a few shots in this movie that are very Argento. There's some nice shadow play with a silhouette and a knife later on. That was also very Argento, I felt. But yeah, I was very much like, ooh, that gives me some Suspiria tingles. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, there are some very inspired shots. Like you just talked about, the overhead shot above the Christmas tree with the couple chasing each other. Very cool. Few and far between, but they're there. They're there. Like I said, that's what I said at the beginning of this. This film has some heart to it, which I think is what makes it charming and endearing. I think people here really tried their best on this film. You can tell in a film where like the people just half-assed it. Like they didn't care. They just wanted to get it done. Nobody really had a passion for the project. I think you can tell that the people that were involved in this actually tried to do their best. Now, their best might have been not all that great, but at least they tried. You can tell. But, we do get the scene where once Leah leaves Nancy, Alex comes downstairs and startles her as she's wiping up blood from the floor. Like, nobody questions this. Leah at one point says, oh, well, crazy Ralph must have cut himself on his hedge clippers. What? It's a whole pool of blood.
If that was the case, I'd be like, oh my God, that's a lot of blood. We need to check on Ralph. Like, we need to figure this out. Yeah, like, it is a large volume of blood. Whoever lost this amount of blood is not in good shape.
No, but she's wiping it up. Alex comes in and says he's thirsty. And of course she gives him milk, too.
Yeah, nothing gets me parched like a pool of blood.
Ugh, I hate milk. Ugh.
Oh, yeah, me too. That I'm lactose intolerant. Like, ugh.
Oh, yeah, no, you don't want milk. No. It's just, the thought of drinking milk grosses me out.
I've always referenced it as udder juice.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's the juice of an udder.
Like the thought of me drinking something that came from a cow's tit is not appealing in any way.
I picture myself putting my lips to the teat of the udder. Yeah. I'm like, this is basically what this is, and it's a big turnoff for me.
So seeing this broad walk around the whole movie with milk in a fucking champagne glass, I'm like, bitch, go. Ugh.
They make me think of Always Sunny. Do you ever watch Always Sunny?
I have not.
Oh my God, there is a family in Always Sunny called the McPoyles. And they're a very disgusting white trash family, and they have like a weird infatuation for drinking lukewarm milk. And it's but it's always in like goblets, and I'm like, oh, it's such a McPoyle moment. Yeah, she's very like, she needs to up her taste buds.
Well, she goes outside and she's walking around with her milk, and she's putting her hands in the pond, and you hear like the most awkward moaning noises. It sounds. I can't even describe it. I really can't. Like, it's not even... These do not sound like moans of pleasure. Let's just put it that way. They're like... Arr! Arr! And of course, she goes in to look at the window, and it's Sam and, of course, obviously now Blake. Since you've informed me, it's Sam and Blake are fucking on the floor of the living room, and it's supposedly their sex noises, but if you're watching their lips, it doesn't match the sounds that are coming out of either of them. And Nancy is sitting there watching for like 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Yeah, she's like leaning over like the banister, just like, yeah, looking good. And then she like doesn't. She's viewed multiple sex sessions at this point. She's like wanders away. No big deal.
Yeah, and then she goes and pretends like she's intrigued by sitting by the little koi pond while she's still listening to these weird sex noises. And then we go inside to the couple, Sam and Blake, having sex. And again, a very awkwardly edited scene because they're fucking. He's on top of her. It's very Friday the 13th Part 2 vibes. But apparently the killer the whole time has been wearing a suit of armor. When did he get into this without anybody hearing it is my question, because wouldn't that make a lot of noise?
Troy, correct me if I'm wrong, but a suit of armor is a complex...
Yes.
It is. Yes. It's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of pieces that you don't just like peel it off and put it back on like a day wear. Like, you need someone to like assist you And like as we find out at the end of the movie, maybe this person's been in the suit of armor for hours, for all we know. But I mean, this is not an easy task getting this on, and it is I mean, we're talking a full suit of armor with a feathered plume atop the mask and everything. It's a lot. So when this suit of armor moves, like, needless to say, I was taken aback. I was surprised. It was the last thing I expected.
Well, and the whole thought of like the killer getting in this is ridiculous because what happens if this couple decided not to have sex in the living room? Like, you're just going to be standing around in a suit of armor for no reason. It's like the intention very much was played that the killer like was waiting for this couple to come in. What if they didn't?
What if you have to take a shit?
Well, yeah.
In the suit of armor. Like, there's a lot of things. Like, I mean, I feel like even if you're breathing within the suit of armor, you're going to just hear like...
Yes.
Like, because you're in a giant metal mask. Like, there is nothing discreet about being in a suit of armor. Every little movement you'd hear like... And apparently this guy can do it for hours. Because out of nowhere, stealthily... the suit of armor manages to discreetly, like, dismount.
Well, he shoots... Well, first of all, he has a crossbow, and he shoots poor Blake through the head with the crossbow as he's fucking Sam, and, like, blood sprays all over her, and, like, he falls on her. And then she just lays there screaming, and this guy in the suit of armor is able to run over to her. She doesn't even try to get up. Run over to her and immediately chop her head off with a battle axe.
Like, even, like, the fact that if you're in the suit of armor, I'm sorry, I don't think you're going to necessarily move fluidly. Like, you're going to be like the Tin Man after he just got oiled and he's doing that dance number for Dorothy and the Scarecrow. You know, like, you're going to be moving rigidly. And this suit of armor manages to get the job done very easily.
Yeah, so now we have Blake and Sam have both been dispatched. Nancy goes back inside, and Ralph just barges into her room.
Nancy is very okay with this.
Yes. There's this moment, though, where Ralph is in her bedroom, and he's like, Nancy, you got to be safe. There's something wrong. I'm a man of the woods, and I sense that something's wrong. You got to pray. And there is this brief moment where she says real quietly, she's like, Ralph, back away. But like, he doesn't, and he's like, gets in her face, and he's like, you gotta pray. And she's so sweet to him. She's like, okay, Ralph. Okay, good night, Ralph.
Yeah, she bids him good night.
Yeah. And I'm like, I would have been like, you creepy motherfucker, get out of my fucking room.
The moment the window opened, because he came through her window, I would have been screaming. I've been throwing things at him. I don't give a fuck who it is. Like, you don't come through my window at fucking what appears to be 2 a.m. spewing biblical nonsense at me. Because, yeah, he starts talking Christian jibber jabber and giving her Bibles, and she's just sitting there wide-eyed. Like, I guess you're like, what the fuck do you do if this guy's gonna try to hurt me or something? Because he just walked through my window like Peter Pan. Like, it's a very uncomfortable moment, and her reaction is very understated.
Oh God, it is. We see Santa is now burying the bodies of what we assume are Blake and Sam. And he has Sam's head in a bucket, which he carries away with him, which I thought was a nice touch. And then, and then upstairs, Melody is trying to fuck poor Alex, who is nervous as fuck. Like, he's stuttering and stammering, and she's trying to come on to him, and he's like, he's just not, he's like, take me to my room. And she's like, no, you're getting in bed with me.
It's basically rape. I mean, like, this Melody is basically unhinging her jaw and swallowing this boy whole.
Hey, let's talk about that, because if the roles would have been reversed and it would have been a male doing that to a female, oh yeah, that hell would be raised. But she is very much like, he clearly says, I want to go to my room, take him in my room. And she's like, no, you're sleeping here. And she like grabs him and throws him down. And then she's like, who buys your shorts? And he's like, I do. And she's like, oh, they're awful. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. So he takes them off.
I mean, at that point, what else are you going to fucking do?
I don't know. But then she apparently starts jerking him off because he's like, oh my God, it feels so good. Oh, Melody. Oh. And then apparently they fuck.
I mean, she's a lovely girl, and
She's beautiful,
at
yeah.
one point in the conversation, she's like, "Do you like it? Do you like it? It costs so much money." Is she talking about a boob job? Did she get her?
I
It
don't
sounds
know.
like she's talking about getting her tits done.
Was she talking about her boobs or that stupid skimpy thing she was wearing? I didn't know. I don't know.
And apparently he doesn't know either because he's just looking like a deer in headlights the whole time. But somehow, some way, Alex gets laid.
He was able to perform because immediately it cuts to the next morning and it's right on close up of his face. And he says, I think the Rams are definitely going to win the pennant. Okay, so it's just cringy. Because apparently, Roger, you don't become a man and talk about manly things unless you have sex with a woman.
Oh my god, TJ even says, he's like, this is the first time you've talked about something that wasn't scientific jibber jabber the whole time.
Right.
And it's like, oh, because like when you're a loser, you talk about science. But now that you've gotten laid, you talk about real man stuff like football.
It's such a ridiculous character point.
Yeah.
It's borderline offensive.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I mean, I don't get offended by stuff. I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, we gotta cancel the movie. I'm offended. I better tweet about it. But I'm saying it is really now it just hasn't aged well.
No.
Because it really is. It's blatantly saying you are not a man or you don't talk about manly things or want to do manly things until you fuck up a woman. Because his very next thing is, I want to go play football.
Yeah, well, and like earlier I said that his character was the most inconsistent for me. And it's not that I don't like him. I like the character, but now at this point in the film, now that he's had a taste of the vagina, he goes through this weird kind of like almost like metamorphosis where like now he's super like aggressive with pursuing Nancy. Or not aggressive, but like he's like got her on his radar. And like the character the 24 hours prior would not have done this. But now he's very like he's chasing her around. He's really like feisty, and like his whole character has shifted. And I don't love that. Like I don't think that character needed that. I kind of like that he was like nerdy and uncomfortable and awkward. And now he's always telling Nancy how cute she is. You're real cute. Like he just becomes kind of a bit of a creep, and I don't think he needed that. I like the character as he was.
I agree. Miss Jensen comes out and she's serving them breakfast, and of course she's not too happy that the guys stayed the night. She's like, this is against the rules. You guys got to get out of here because Miss Calvin's going to be back tomorrow, and she would not be happy. And they're like, yeah, we're going to leave as soon as our plane is fixed. So TJ suggests that they have a picnic. So they're all going to have a picnic. Nancy volunteers to... And in the meantime, Roger, we have to point out, half the fucking sorority is gone, missing. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
No, nobody is like at all concerned or curious. They do say like, I guess everyone's still sleeping, but like, I'm sorry, you guys all live in like a sorority together. You would at this point be like aware of each other's presence, especially with the volume of people that are missing. 2 couples have been dispatched at this point. Like there are quite a lot of people who are dead within one evening. I would be questioning things.
Yeah, Nancy even volunteers to go look for the others in the house, and she goes upstairs and nobody's there. And then we get a scene where Alex is chasing Melody around the woods. TJ and Leia are on a picnic blanket, having a picnic. Nancy somehow backed down in the woods. Like that was an awkward cut. Like we didn't even need to see Nancy go upstairs because it serves no purpose. Like she doesn't, nothing comes of it, and it just cuts back to all of a sudden she's in the woods now with everybody. TJ says something that offends her along the lines of, oh, don't worry, Nancy, you'll get laid sooner or later. And then it's just so stupid. I love that she says, oh, I'm going on a walk. And Leah's like, TJ, you're such an asshole, but Nancy is supposed to go on a walk, and if you notice, she gets up and she like walks like 2 steps away and then just stands there like twiddling her thumbs for about 5 minutes as they're talking. But then she finally does go on a walk, and this is when she runs into Alex, who becomes, like you said, very aggressive towards her. Tells her he's cute, she's cute, and she's like, no, I'm not. He's like, yes, you are, and he starts chasing her around, acting like he's like Quasimodo, like, Rah! And she's like, oh, Alex, leave me alone. And she runs through the woods, and he's chasing her. And she falls into a pile of leaves, and fucking Ralph's body pops out of the leaf. How did that happen? Is that possible? Is he on a...
It's like that game. I don't know if you played this when you were a kid, but remember that game Don't Wake Daddy, where like Daddy would like sit up and be like, "Oh."
How did that happen?
I don't know how this works because he springboards up and he's got like an axe mark in the top of his head. I mean, it made for a surprise. I don't know if it's the right kind of surprise. It's not exactly what I was anticipating, but like I didn't expect it. But I will say here's something I'm mad about with a character such as Ralph. And not Friday the 13th Ralph, but, this Ralph. As he was being set up to be quite the red herring, and his infatuation with preserving Nancy was becoming something I was intrigued by. They just were like, well, might as well just get rid of this one, and we're not even going to show it happen. Like, boo, he's dead. Like, that's all. And, like, I was like, pissed. I was like, God, you guys got rid of one of your best red herrings in like such a disposable way. And yes, it does like kick off the next aspect of the story. It does certainly cause a change of events. But like, come on, like they could have given me something way better.
Yeah. I mean, an off-screen kill and a body that springs up like a goddamn, it's just a carnival game. It's just ridiculous. My thing is, I'm not a fan. I don't know about you. This is maybe nitpicky. I'm not a fan of a slasher movie that doesn't take place like in one night. Like I don't like. One of my gripes about this film is the fact that there's a day change. I don't like that. It just seems unrealistic to me. Because like we've talked about, half of the fucking sorority guys and girls are gone, and nobody thinks twice about it. Nobody's looking for them. Nobody's wondering where they're at. Like I want it to take place all over a course of a night, so that it makes sense that all of the action is there. Kind of we get that. The vibe of this when it changes to the next day really change. I think tonally it kind of changes the film a little bit. Because then it kind of turns into like this police procedural for a few minutes. Ugh. The police show, yeah, I know. Because after Ralph's body's found, the police show up, and they are very much obviously it's obvious Ralph has been murdered. And I would think that would you really let everybody stay at this place, or would you be like, guys, you got to go? We're gonna crime scene this off as a crime scene. You guys got to go find somewhere else to stay. No crime scene tapes put up, nothing. They're like, oh, well, we're just going to tell the parents of the other kids who are also missing that nobody seems to bat an eye about. And TJ all of a sudden gets really mad. He's like, you have to do that. We don't want them to know. We're supposed to be somewhere else. Nobody gives a fuck that this Ralph guy has just been axed in the head.
A few things. First of all, I agree with you on the statement of I like my slashers taking place over one night. The only time I don't like it, or the only time I strike that. The only time I do like it or don't mind it, if it's something like Scream, where it's specifically like the story, the story actually develops off like a body's been found. Like when it's played out the right way and it can enhance the story, I'm okay with it. Like I get that it serves a purpose. With this, it does the opposite. As soon as like the police come into it, the writers of this script, I wouldn't say we're the most skilled or knowledgeable individuals when it came to writing a movie in general. But at least like when they were writing the slasher, like the first chunk of the film, it kind of felt like within their wheelhouse because it's simple. Like a slasher, you only need so much. You need hot girls, you need boobs, you need deaths, you're golden. Now that we're getting into police procedural territory, it becomes glaringly all too clear that they had no fucking idea how to write this material. They do not know how police operate or act or talk or dress. Like, the police officers in this movie, I feel like they're going to try to sell me a used car. Every single police officer in this looks like a bad porn actor. They're disgusting. They all have thick, like, Brooklyn accents.
Yes.
Jersey accents, even though they're in fucking California. So that doesn't make any sense. Nobody's actually showing badges or doing anything police-like. They're just claiming to be police. But they also have, like, bad suits and, like, they just very uncomfortable. And so you've got this one, like, detective who's, like, the main detective, and he's yelling out orders and demanding things, none of which are actually, like, proper procedure. And then, like, Nancy's like, I'm scared. I just gotta say it. I'm scared. And I want you to know it. I'm scared. This fucker, like, this creepy ass detective walks up and delicately takes her chin in the tip of his finger, and he, like, holds it for this entire speech. He just holds her chin, and it's very fucking awkward. Like, I don't understand what he's trying to get across to her. Is it maybe a sense of comfort? Because not for me. For me, it feels rapey. For me, it feels very rapey.
It's super creepy. He's like, "Oh, honey, it's understandable to be scared, but you can't blame yourself. No, you can't blame yourself." And then he, like, looks into her eyes for what seems like an eternity and just holding her chin. And then he breaks away real quick.
In any other movie, it would be extremely romantic, but because of, like, what this scenario is, it just makes for very uncomfortable. I also need to acknowledge, Troy, nobody has brought up mention of the pilot who is currently living in the airplane, like, who has set up camp at this airplane. Like, they haven't even said to the fucking cops, like, hey, our pilot, like, can he maybe come here? Can he stay? Like, there's a pilot waiting. We should probably inform him that half the people he flew in are dead.
TJ wouldn't allow it. Because, yeah, in a few scenes, they actually ask to go get the pilot. Melody asks to go get the pilot, and TJ's like, "No, I hate him. He's not coming." But we do find out apparently that Ralph was in a mental hospital, and so they're setting it up that Ralph apparently was like a bad guy that, like, sold drugs or something, and that has people that might be mad at him. It's
simple
so
Christianly Ralph. Like, yeah, it really is not landing at all. But they're really trying. They're trying really hard to make Ralph still seem like a red herring, which, like, he's dead. I gotta say, this is the point in the movie where, like, there's a whole lot of yakking going on. People are talking about things. Oftentimes, they're talking about the same thing over and over and over, and you just really stop caring. Because, like, people are sitting down, they're having conversations here, having conversations there. I don't believe this. This is my opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
This is where I think everybody went. Where do you think everybody went? And, like, honestly, we could breeze through this whole, like, probably like 30 minutes of the movie really easily, because it's just a lot of nonsense.
Well, I mean, basically the bottom line is Leah's a cunt. Like, I hate to use that word, but she is an uncaring, cold. She's like, "I don't care. They're coming back. You guys are idiots for being worried." Even though we just found a dead man on your lawn, she is not concerned about it at all. Plus, she flirts with this cop. She, like, takes him up to her bedroom. Like,
she fucks him. Like, let's be real. Eventually, she ultimately fucks this very homely cop. Like, I mean, Leah's got the lowest of standards out of everybody. And I can kind of see why. No offense, Leah. But she's currently dressed like she's off some Carole King album cover. Like, wearing a very not flattering ensemble. Yet, for some reason, everyone wants to fuck her.
Well, she has the choice between TJ, who is actually quite handsome and you know, buff and burly and a kind of a good-looking guy, and this cop that looks like a overweight 70s porn actor.
Yeah, all the cops, first of all, if I was one of these kids and these cops were being brought into my house, I'd be scared I had done a dirty deal with the mob, because they are not reliable at all. They seem like they're putting on a really bad act. They've got, like, low unbuttoned shirts with, like, gold chains on. They look very shisty. I don't trust these guys, but apparently they're cops.
But then outside, remember the main cop, the chief is Polanski, Chief Polanski. He's the chief. He even tells the two officers when they're outside, he's like, "You guys better keep your hands off those fillies inside. If I find out that you're diddling any of them, there's going to be trouble." I'm like, you have to actually tell your officers that? There's a fucking problem there. They probably shouldn't be working for your police force.
Well, not only that, but then one of them diddles anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, these are really bad cops. These cops are horrible. Diddling away.
And then I love that they tell Miss Jensen. They go tell Miss Jensen that they're in danger, and she's like, "Oh, why would you say that? Why would we be in danger?" Yeah, she is totally unconcerned.
Oh, and they're like, "Well, don't you think the man that whoever killed Ralph could still be on the premises?" And she was like, "Oh, well, I suppose you're right." Like, is it really that shocking to think that that person could still be on the premises.
But she has her rolling pin.
Oh yeah.
She like takes her rolling pin. She's like, if somebody gets smart with me, I have this.
Quite the threat.
So yeah, this is when we cut to the night. The group's having dinner. The cops are going to be doing their shifts. This is when Leah takes that one officer up to her bedroom and is like heavily flirting with him. And she like leaves him in her bed, and he's like, I need something. And she's like, oh, maybe later. So she goes back downstairs with the group. Miss Jensen goes to bed. And this is the dialogue we get when Melody's like, maybe we should bring the pilot back because the more people, the more protection we have. And TJ's automatically like, no, I hate him. He's not coming in. He goes to get a beer. Leah gets up. And he's like, TJ's like, where are you going? She's like, I'm going to go shower. He's like, oh, great. Sounds like a good idea. And she's like, no, alone. And this is when she goes upstairs to fuck this homely, ugly-ass cop. And leaves studly TJ downstairs, who, I'm sorry, TJ, I would totally do in a heartbeat. This cop, ugh.
Oh, absolutely. Well, TJ's also charismatic. He's got personality. This cop, I'm sorry, like, no offense to this actor, but he is haggard. He is careworn. He is weathered. He is everything I don't want in a sexual partner. And for some reason, Leia is just drawn to him. And seems to like it a lot. I mean, she seems to be quite pleased with herself. But yeah.
Well, at least TJ has the common sense to like not even give a shit and like go start flirting with Melody.
So at this point, literally everybody within the cast has exchanged sexual partners, because now Alex is pursuing Nanny, who is now donning pigtails, by the way. Like, as if she couldn't be any more cherubic. She now has these big blonde pigtails. She looks adorable. Melody's banging TJ, or aiming to. And Leia's fucking that old cop. I mean, everyone is. It's like a musical chairs. Like, everyone's moving around, switching partners. Good for them. You know what? I mean, like, if that's how you get your kicks, I ain't judging. I've done way worse.
Yeah, and then outside, one of the cops is patrolling the perimeter, and he's walking around, and he runs into Santa. And Santa immediately puts an axe in his head.
Yeah, literally runs into Santa. My issue with a lot of these kills, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again, is why does nobody instantly react to the horrifying Santa approaching them? Like, this cop, he's walking up and he's like, what are you doing here? And like, he doesn't even brandish his gun. Like, I mean, someone's been killed on this premises, mind you. This foreboding Santa figure comes out of fucking nowhere, obviously hiding something behind his back, and he axes him. And you'd think this cop would at least have some whatever reaction before this happens. But no, he just walks right into the axe.
Yeah, and now Nancy and Alex have decided. Well, Alex has decided he wants to go explore the house, so he brings Nancy with him. So there's this long, again, we don't need to talk about a long scene of them walking around the house where Nancy's acting like she's never been in any of these parts of the house. It's like, bitch, how long have you lived here? She's like, I've never been in this room before. I've never been up here before. I'm scared. With her big old pigtails bouncing around.
They do go up into the attic at one point, though, and it does make for one rather cool moment where they're ascending the staircase, and there is a window behind them as they go up the staircase, and as they're going the bend into the next room, you see that Santa is on the roof just watching them. And they never see it, it's not addressed, it's this very simple, subtle moment, and it's very creepy. I actually rewound it the first time I watched it, partially because I thought Santa was literally on all fours, doggy style, watching them, and I was like, how erotic. But it turns out he's just squatting in a weird way. But yeah, it just makes for a cool bit of imagery that was kind of unexpected.
We cut back to Leah in her bedroom.
She actually fucked the cop.
She just finished fucking the cop. He's in bed. He's afterglowing. She's going to go take a shower. She pulls the shower curtain open. And in the meantime, we do see Santa sneak into their room, a silhouette of his holding a knife.
One of the best knife silhouettes I've seen.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And he opens the door, goes into the room. She goes, unrobes, opens the shower curtain, and somehow, I guess, fucking Sam's head is attached to the shower head.
Upside down.
And of course, Leah starts freaking out, screams, and then immediately the cop bursts in with the butcher knife in his back, and followed by Santa, who corners Leah's naked 7-year-old boy body into the shower. She's screaming bloody murder. And we do see the killer actually, and I don't understand. I want to know, again, this is not explained. The killer lifts the mask up to Leah to show her who it is, puts the mask back down, and we find out lets her live.
Not only lets her live, but has quite an impact over her and how she acts for the rest of the film.
Ugh.
It's very confusing.
Yeah. So TJ and Melody are outside and they're talking, and she's like, I thought you were into Leah. And he's like, yeah, I was. And she's like, oh, well, he's like, but I'm into you now. She's like, oh, I didn't think you noticed me. I'm like, bitch, you look like a Playboy cover girl, and Leah's haggard ass looks like she's 50. Why would you not think that he noticed you? It's so weird. I know we're picking on Leah, but come on, they could have found a better looking actress. I mean, if you're trying to portray her,
well, it's for this specific.
Around
in their roles, yeah. And meanwhile, Alex and Nancy are just sitting by the fire, being pure. They're just being pure. They're holding each other. They're canoodling. It's very delicate. But yeah, this whole sequence that's coming up here with TJ and Melody is one of the moments that I find pretty redeeming in this movie. I gotta say, there's not a ton of in-your-face gore in this film. You get a lot of things that are not necessarily executed well, but when there are moments that do hit, I think they hit rather, well. They do a good job. And basically what this leads up to is a moment where TJ is talking to Melody, and out of nowhere, what appears to be a piano wire or some kind of a wire hoops down around his neck, kind of like a noose almost, and starts to pull up. But as it pulls up, it starts to cut through his neck because it's like a sharp wire, and you start to see like the meat of his neck separate, and it's a really good effect. There's no seam. Really, really well done. The throat cuts in this movie look pretty fucking great, I gotta say.
Yeah, but somehow Santa Claus got up into a tree without them noticing.
This Santa is so fucking stealthy.
But it is a cool throat cut. It's very like, it's one of the best gore effects in the film, I think. But TJ now is dead. Melody runs back to the house. She's pounding on the door. They let her in. She tells them that TJ's dead. Actually, the actress here is pretty good. She actually delivers hysterical pretty damn well, I think. They go upstairs to look for Leah, and they all find the officer's body in the bathroom and the head still attached to the shower curtain. And of course, the girls freak out. Alex is like, trying to be strong, but he's like, I gotta go get help. And he runs to a phone. Conveniently, right as he picks up the phone, we get a shot of the killer outside cutting the phone line with giant hedge clippers. And this is when you hear Leah singing. And the two girls are like, oh, that's Leah. So they go out to the hallway, and Leah is now in a beautiful white gown, dancing around the hallway, singing her trademark la 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 song in a trance. So why? I don't know. It's never explained.
I tried, like, when we hit this twist, and oh, what a twist, because I did not anticipate this at all. I tried to feasibly, like, put the pieces together in my head, like, what could possibly explain this? Maybe the reveal was so shocking she lost her mind. I don't think that's a good reason, but maybe that's what they're trying to, like, get across. The only thing I thought of, once we consider the finale, the only thing that I think maybe makes a little bit of sense is that the individual drugged her. Because if you think of what Leah did earlier with the milk, I wonder if it's something kind of alluding to, I know what you did and now I'm doing it to you, but you don't see it happen. So I'm grasping for straws here.
I don't think the film's that smart, to be honest with you.
It's not, no. But still, like, you've got to provide me some kind of explanation.
Yeah, well, there isn't, and there's no explanation. There's no explanation for why the killer doesn't kill Leah, who very much was probably part of the group of the girls at the beginning. And in fact, I think she was. I think she's the one in the group that's wearing the Santa mask and holding the axe. If you go back to watch the beginning, I'm pretty sure that's her. So she actually had something to do with it. So why does the killer let her live? It makes zero sense. And I would have just axed her right away when she started singing because she's fucking annoying and dancing around. But they see Leah, they run downstairs, and another thing the film does wrong, in my opinion, is this unmasking happens so quickly. There's no suspense. They're all downstairs with Leah, and all of a sudden Santa comes in the room and tries to stab them. And they back away, and it's Melody, Nancy, and Leah's dancing around. Leah's out of it. Forget her. She's just dancing around the whole time. And all of a sudden you hear a very female voice say, "You killed my baby. You killed my baby." And she pulls off the mask, and lo and behold, it is fucking Mrs. Jensen.
I knew it was Mrs. Jensen from right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was pretty obvious. She was just too pleasant, too genuinely kind to not be the killer in the long run. But yeah, it really, like, I mean, first of all, what a very Friday the 13th moment.
Oh, it's very much so. She's chasing her around saying, just being like, "You gave her drugs." And Nancy's like, "I didn't even know her." And she's like, "Don't you lie to me." Trying to stab her and shit. It's very Friday. It's very Betsy Palmer-ish.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the actress is not bad in the role.
No, she's actually good.
She's actually quite good. I do think it comes down to just a matter of, like, poor pacing again. Like, this movie really struggles with pacing issues. Too many moments of bloated dialogue. Not enough time devoted to the suspense. Like, and it definitely hurts this finale. The finale is often clunky. It has a few moments that are pretty cool. But for the most part, yeah, it kind of just, like, sputters along. And it totally misses the boat when it comes to this reveal. I agree on that. It could have been so much bigger.
It's a very rushed. Yeah, it could have. It's very rushed. There's no suspense. She says, "You killed my baby," and rips off her mask. So now we learn that basically the girl at the beginning that fell off the balcony and was killed is Mrs. Jensen's daughter, who, again, if you were paying attention, you would know that from the picture. It's above her sewing machine. And she's getting revenge on the people that she thinks killed her baby. Melody has the good sense to run out of the fucking house, whereas Nancy's just cowering away. But Nancy does pick up the fireplace poker and whap her in the back. Very, very similar to, Friday the 13th. That's what happens to Miss Voorhees. Knocks her out for a minute. Nancy is able to run upstairs to hide. Melody is smart. Like, Melody takes her ass off to the plane. Like, she's like, "I'm getting the fuck out of here." She runs to the plane. The pilot is under the plane in a sleeping bag, sleeping. Poor guy can't even sleep in the plane. He's under the sleeping bag. She's like, wake up, everyone's dead. Everyone's dead. You drunk, get up. And he's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "We got to get out of here." And something's wrong with the plane. It won't start. So they're in front of the propellers trying to start it. And he's trying to fix it. And in the meantime, Santa has snuck into the plane, which right now should be a good indication that there's more than one killer. But Santa's in the plane, and as Melody and the pilot are trying to fix the propeller, Santa starts the fucking propeller and chops both of them up.
My favorite moment in the movie.
Yeah. Well, it's cool, but I wanted a little bit more for Melody. Like, that was pretty quick.
It was a very, like, it's almost got like a sense of humor to it, the way it's done, because, like, the propeller turns on and, like, you just see meat and blood splatter against the plane, and that little Santa mask just sitting behind, like, the driver's seat, just, like, smiling away. But I love that, like, it's so different from a lot of the kills we're used to. I'm so happy they did something that was completely unique in their own. I can't think of, other than Dawn of the Dead doing the helicopter blade to the scalp, I can't really think of a lot of kills that I can even compare this to. And I was kind of like, no, they didn't just do that. They literally just killed somebody with a fucking propeller. I'll take it. I'll take it. I thought it was pretty entertaining. Yeah, I do wish I would have seen her get to have a big grand death sequence, but I thought it was very entertaining.
It is. It's a very cool kill, very creative. It's one of the more creative kills in the film, but it's very unexpected. It teaches you to stay away from propellers, and
Yes, please, listeners, stay away from
right.
propellers.
Back at the house, Miss Jensen's looking for Nancy, and she's saying Nancy real creepily.
Yeah. Also making herself very obvious as to where she is.
Yeah. And there's a point where Nancy has picked up a butcher knife, and as she's coming around the corner, Miss Jensen's there and attacks her, and it's like, die! And they have a little struggle.
Yeah. When she appears out of from behind the corner, she could have easily gotten the best of Nancy, but because she chooses to brandish the knife over her head and scream, die! Really loudly, it takes away any surprise factor, and Nancy's made completely aware of her presence.
They fight on the ground. Nancy punches her and gets up and runs, but the only way room she can get into, how she's cornered, is the back room that has the balcony, and there's nowhere for her to hide, so she goes out on the balcony. Again, this is horrible editing.
Oh my god!
This whole I don't even know what happened. Basically, Miss Jensen comes into the room. And she's like, Nancy, I know you're in here. It's the only room. And you see her head towards the balcony, right? And and Nancy's outside on the balcony, kind of cowering against the door. You see Miss Jensen. All of a sudden, Miss Jensen has flashbacks of her daughter falling off the balcony. And then all of a sudden, Miss Jensen's body hits the ground.
What a fucking waste.
You don't see how she falls over. You don't see it. Did Nancy push her over? Did she jump over herself? What the fuck happened? You don't know. You really do not know. It's such a waste. It happens so quickly.
It's really upsetting because you're getting this grand build up after all of this of everything's culminating to this final showdown between the last girl standing. Well, no, we got fucking Leia spinning like a fool, but the last sane person standing, and Mrs. Jensen, and you're expecting this kind of awesome big final moment, and even if it did end up that Nancy got the best of her and pushed her over the railing, show me that moment. Let me see the irony in that she has the same exact death as her daughter. That could be cool. But because the way they edit it, you see the flashback, and then as you see the body falling, it cuts to her body hitting the ground, and it's I think they tried to be artistic and ironic, but instead it ended up just being completely fucking lame. It's such a fucking letdown after this whole big to-do with fucking Mrs. Jensen killing all these girls. You don't even see Nancy get the best of her. You just have to kind of assume. And when you have to assume a death, which happens multiple times over the course of this film, when you have to assume a death and how it transpired, I'm sorry, you did not succeed.
Yeah, it's really clunky. It's like they tried to. It's like they had this elaborate fight on the balcony plan, but they realized they couldn't pull it off. So they just did the best they could, and it just turns out real shitty.
Yeah, I almost wonder if the actress, because she was older, I'm curious if they had to be very delicate. Not saying she was crazy elderly, but she's an older woman. I wonder if they're we can't risk anything. We're going to have to find a creative way to do this.
Yeah, probably. Nancy goes downstairs and is crying, and as she's downstairs crying, another Santa Claus comes in carrying the body of Mrs. Jensen. And he's like, "You killed my wife. You killed my daughter." And he unmasks, and dun dun dun, it is Chief Polanski.
So the cop is also involved, and when this happened, I'm are you fucking kidding me? I like a twist. I love a twist. But, come on. How is this fucker, married to this gal, involved in general in his awful suits and his strange accent? It just, oh my god. You know what? This is an example of a script where they opted to go for, shock factor over, any resemblance of realism or what could really happen in this moment. I like a heightened reality, don't get me wrong, but this was too much for me. It was too much.
It's a twist that comes out of nowhere. Hey, I'm a fan of twist. Look, again, I'm going to bring up my film, Mrs. Claus. It has a twist that's actually kind of similar to this. Although I feel like the character that ends up being like the surprise twist has a lot more to do in the film than this chief did. So it doesn't necessarily come so far out of left field. But so these girls have lived with Miss Jensen for years. In some cases, some of them have lived with her for over 2 years, right? They don't know that she has a husband.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That she's married and has a husband. They've never seen pictures of them together. They've never. And how does nobody know? How does nobody know that was Miss Jensen's daughter that died? And was Miss Jensen's daughter one of the sorority girls, or did she just hang out at the sorority with her mom cooking? I don't know. We don't know.
Right. I mean, this is what I'm saying. This twist is like, it's just so poorly thought out. They did it for the shock of it. They're like, I feel like in the moment they're like, oh, and we should make him a killer too. But like, they didn't think of like the intricacies of that. Like, okay, for example, I like that they put the portrait of the girl over Mrs. Jensen's sewing machine. That was actually pretty cool. However, in doing it like, don't you think that someone would be like, hey, is that your daughter? Like, why you got that girl's portrait over your sewing machine? Like, she died here, right? Like, would that not ever be brought up? Would nobody ever notice this? Would nobody ever question it? Would nobody have known I'm assuming this girl had to be part of the sorority because they were literally chasing her saying, sorority, sorority. Like, I'm assuming she had to be part of it. So how would they not, like, how would Mrs. Jensen, when being hired on a school premises, not be vetted out to be, like, her relationship be acknowledged, to this girl who had recently been killed on the property? I mean, how would this not have come to light?
Yeah, it makes zero sense. Zero sense. To have the character that's so tied to the sorority as like their cook and everything be the killer, and then pretend like none of these girls know anything, that she's married, that her daughter was the one that was killed. You would think all that stuff would be common knowledge. Has anybody not been in her room and saw the picture of the girl? It's so ridiculous. But however, Mr. Polanski, and they have different last names, Miss Jensen, Mr. Polanski, come on. But he starts choking poor Nancy. She's screaming. Alex, who has disappeared for the last 20 minutes, where the fuck has this fuck been? He disappeared. Now he shows up with a bow and arrow and shoots Mr. Polanski through the back with the arrow. Kills him. Nancy freaks out. The two of them reunite. He comforts Nancy. They're like, we got to get the fuck out of here. Let's go. And they leave Leah, who is like dancing on the balcony, doing her little la 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 la, and they run off into the moonlight, and the movie ends.
Yeah, like, where the fuck has Alex been this whole time? Like, he's been presented as kind of like the love interest and kind of like, I don't want to say the hero, but like, he's the one that was like, let's go wander the house. Let's find out what's going on. Come on. Like, he motivated a lot of this. At least he shows up with that fucking, arrow and shoots him. But he does it from a safe distance to ensure that he's not involved in any way in this confrontation. It definitely makes for his character to like have a rather unlikable conclusion. I was very bummed with how his character ended up playing out at the end of the film, because he definitely, like, he only helps out because it's like safe to do so. I don't know. It was definitely like a letdown.
Yeah, it's like he was hiding, when he knew the Santa was there and attacking everybody, he was upstairs hiding. And he only came out kind of at the last minute because he felt like he was maybe forced to. I don't know. Yeah, it was really weird that he disappears for so long. But yeah, the movie ends. We don't know what happens to Leah except that she's dancing on the fucking balcony.
And they make this like big thing of it because it goes to like a red freeze frame, and she's like highlighted dancing on the balcony like it's this grand moment. And really, all it leaves you thinking is like, okay, well, why was she dancing to begin with? Like, why is this a thing? Did they give her a lobotomy? Did the killer give her like a brain trauma that we're not aware of that's causing her to be mentally unstable? Because there's no explanation for it. And for it to end on that note, I was like, well, that's fucking weird because it doesn't make any sense. But a lot of the movie doesn't make sense. And I'm left with more questions than answers, to be real.
Yeah. Yes. There are way more questions than answers with this film. But with that said, I mean, it does, like I said, it does possess a charm that is, I think, undeniable in parts. It's not the worst slasher film of the 80s by any means. It's actually quite rewatchable. I mean, it is a film that I watch every December, and I have fun with. Although watching it like 4 or 5 times for this particular film, or for this particular podcast, I don't know if I'll watch it again for a while. But I mean, I don't hate the film. I do feel like it's, for what it is, it's fun. There's worse films out there. It needed to amp up the Christmas atmosphere. The script definitely needed a few revisions to make it tighter, but I am sort of pleased that over in the last maybe 10 years, 10, 15 years, that it has gained a pretty, sizable following. You do see this film brought up every Christmas now as one that people watch on a regular basis. I think mainly because it does have the killer Santa aspect to it. But other than that, yeah, there's not a lot of Christmas to it.
Yeah, no, I almost feel like this is a movie that I don't know if I would necessarily need to bust it out around the Christmas season to want to enjoy it. The seasonal aspect is not really part of the allure for me. I actually like it for some of the characters. I enjoyed several of the kills. There's a few moments that I do think are executed fairly well. Overall, though, it is definitely like one of the less polished entries into the genre. It's definitely a bumpy road to get to the finish line. But you know what? At the end of the day, I like everyone involved in the race. And I think the cast is pretty enjoyable. There's not really a weak link in this. And I think it's fun. I thought it was fun. I mean, it's not a great piece of cinema by any means, but I had a good time watching it. And I can see myself watching it again, not necessarily soon, but again.
Yeah. I mean, we harped on some of the actors, but it had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with them. I think the performances across the board are pretty solid. It's just some of the characters are quite unlikable, and some of the character shifts or character arcs don't make a lot of sense or are unnecessary. But I feel like everyone does a great job. It's just, there's things that needed to be either omitted or explained. And the ending is one of them. And the whole deal with Leah, going into this dance trance just made zero sense. But hey, gives us something to talk about. It is To All a Good Night.
Yeah. And overall, the flaws here don't fall back on the cast. I do feel they fall more on everything else behind the scenes, from the script to the editing to the pacing to some of the direction. The fact that even despite having a rather weak script, the talent saw it through, and that's what really got me through this film and helped me enjoy it. So yeah, I definitely think the cast is what makes this one. I do not think seasonally it is something, though, that's really worth a lot of mention. Unfortunately, I appreciate the cover art, but when it comes down to a good Christmas slasher, aside from the Santa costume, I really don't have a lot to praise for this film. It doesn't strike me as something seasonally standout.
Yeah, but that's To All a Good Night. I mean, I think we did a deep dive into it. So going on 2 hours once again. So why don't we wrap it up? Tell the audience what our next week's pick is, and then wrap things up.
Girls, listen. It was unavoidable. This has been coming. A remake of Troy's favorite. We're doing the 2006 remake of Black Christmas. I know. Calm down. It's a good one. It's a real good one. It's actually probably one of my favorite remakes. I love the original Black Christmas, but you know what? I think this movie does one of the best jobs of both acknowledging and respecting the original core material while also making it its own thing. I think it walks the line very well. I cannot wait to talk about it. It's been at the top of my list of films I've wanted to discuss since we've started this podcast. And it's finally the time, because 'tis the season. Troy, I've been waiting. I'm very excited.
Oh, I saw this one in theaters when the opening day back in 2006, and on Christmas Day. because the original is one of my favorite is it's not one of my favorite. The original is my favorite horror film of all time. So this one definitely had a lot of high hopes for it. And I'm just going to save my comments for the episode. We're not even going to talk about the 2019 remake, but I'll have a lot to say about this one.
Don't even fucking get me started on Imogen Poots 2019 quote unquote remake of Black Christmas, because let me tell you, I'll shit all over it. I hate that movie. We will review it one day, because you're gonna have to give me a fucking like sedative or something to get me through it though, Troy, because it gets me so irate. But you know what? I'm laying it out there. I love the 2006 one. If you're a fan of the 2006 one and you want to hear me praise it, tune into next week's episode, because I'm putting my feelings out there. I can't get enough of it. It's one of my favorites. So Troy, I'm chomping at the bit to talk about that one with you.
Well, yeah, we can't wait. And guys, again, if you're interested in bonus episodes, check out patreon.com/Dark Night of the Podcast. If you don't want to do that, but you want to somehow support us, you like what we're doing, please, please, please go to Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. It really helps the show. The more 5-star reviews, the more chances it has of popping up in searches. So please, please, please do that. Let's hit the 5 stars. You don't even have to write anything, but a nice review would be awesome, because we're going to bring you plenty of holiday cheer this December. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us talk about To All a Good Night for what seems like an eternity. So yeah, until next week with Black Christmas 2006, we bid you adieu.
Adieu. Season's greetings.
To all a good night.
I knew you were going to say it.